We begin with breaking news in New Hope. A shooting involving a privately contracted Metro Transit bus happened within the last hour just off of 169. Kent Erdahl is live now with what we know about the situation. Kent?
Well, Julie, there is a very large police presence here in New Hope right now. I want to give you some perspective. We're standing along Rockford Road here on the other side of 169. By 169, you can see one cop car that's blocking some of the traffic coming towards us. Way beyond that, I would say probably about a quarter mile beyond that, by New Hope Church, there is a bus surrounded by another 10 cop cars or so. That's because they have many of the roads around here blocked because it seems that they are searching for someone. We don't know exactly who or what is going on right now, but there are multiple canine units in the area. We drove by the bus where a shooting or a gunshot victim at least was found, either inside or off of the bus. And as we drove through that area and attempted to get out of the vehicle, we were told very sternly by police to get back inside because there was some kind of a search going on. At this point, that's basically what we know. Again, we've been told from the Metropolitan Council that there was a gunshot victim found, someone shot in the leg, either inside or just as they were boarding the bus. And right now, again, there's a search underway in this area. Police do not advise anyone to leave their homes or to come here on foot. They will tell you to leave. They're blocking several roads, and we're also hearing a police helicopter that's been searching over us for several minutes now, flying over us, that is, searching for, again, presumably someone that has some kind of connection to what happened earlier tonight. That's what we know for now. We'll send it back to you.
All right, very big police presence. I know you'll keep us updated. Thank you, Kent.